We're here. It's the fantasy RSO Fantasy Football Podcast. We are here, and I am just figuring out how to live stream. So bear with me because this is the RSO Fantasy Football Podcast, and we used to be on a platform where we didn't actually do live streams. But now we're trying to do video. We're trying to ourselves. So thank you for tuning in, and we're going to get to your questions, and we are going to talk about some people you might want to get on Reality Sports Online who might be on your waivers, who might be people to look at, people to really get excited about or not excited about. And we are doing our best to get started here. So go ahead and I'll start talking. One guy who I'm really excited about is Sean Tucker, and he did not perform great this week. He only had about 3 points, but hear me out on this. He most definitely outperformed Rachaad White. Rachaad White had 2.3 yards per carry or 2.4, somewhere around there, and he outperformed him in yards per carry. And I think by week 4, you're going to have a situation where Sean Tucker is the lead back in a shared committee, maybe, with Rachaad White, or he might overtake Rachaad White, or something is going to happen to Rachaad White where Sean Tucker becomes the man. And I really firmly believe that. So, guys, just hang with me here. And another guy I like to pick up in RSO, Sean Tucker is one. Get him as soon as possible, because when you get to week 2, 3, 4, he's going to be a known commodity. He's going to get what he needs to do is take over Rachaad White. Rachaad White has never been anything too special, in my opinion. So get on the Sean Tucker bandwagon. He is the clear number 2 backup. Chase Edmonds is not comparing to him in preseason. So get on that. And another running back I like, obviously Gus Edwards. It's just too bad with J.K. Dobbins going down. J.K. Dobbins goes down, and people are I can't say we're surprised at this point, but we are sad to see such an athlete go down and not be able to perform at the highest level because he gets injured so often. And people will make jokes, but as a former athlete, I know it's heartbreaking when you get injured and you can't perform like you used to. So my thoughts and prayers are with J.K. Dobbins, but that means Justice Hill or Gus Edwards. You got to go with Gus Edwards. Gus Edwards, Gus the Bus has been the man every time J.K. Dobbins has gone down. Yes, Justice Hill got the points this week. Go with Gus Edwards in the long haul. If you have a 0 RB, go out and pay for Gus Edwards. I would be willing to pay a second, maybe a third round pick, depending on the severity of the injury of J.K. Dobbins. But go out if you're a contender and you need a running back too. He is definitely a guy to look at for a running back too. He regularly gets in the 12 to 15 range when Dobbins is out. So I would go out and get Gus Edwards. I imagine in most of your RSO leagues, Reality Sports Online, that's what we pay attention to. Basically, it's a contract league, but it's a contract league based off of the salary cap of the NFL. So when we're talking about contracts, we're talking about as much money as the NFL has each year. And you either have about 30 players to 40, in between 20 to 40 players to make a team from. So you pay a little more for the offense because you can do defensive players, but we don't specify on individual defensive players. But getting back to my point, Gus Edwards, definitely a guy. Another guy that impressed me, Joshua Kelly. Joshua Kelly did very well this week for San Diego. Is he the guy? Maybe, because Eckler was getting hurt. Eckler was not doing well. But guys, we just got to get used to it. Running backs are in committees now. It's the new thing. Derrick Henry had 15 touches this week. Derrick Henry, the king, had 15 touches. Tajay Spears is going to eat into his workload. If you want to get a cheap running back quick, get Tajay Spears, and in a year, you will be glad you have Tajay Spears. He's a guy you've got to target in Reality Sports Online. You've got to go out and get him. I see we have a listener here. If you could comment in the chats about what you're doing. But Tajay Spears is a guy to get. Right now, he's currently cheap, but his price is only going to go up. We saw Addison and Zay Flowers for the rookies. They both did well. Zay Flowers had amazing catches. He was doing great. And Addison and Zay Flowers did well. But do not sleep on Jackson Smith-Njigba, you guys. He was the first wide receiver out of here. Yes, he had a poor game, but the whole offense had a poor game. So that's not necessarily his fault. When Geno does bad, the rest of the wide receivers do bad. I do not expect that to keep going. I do not expect Geno to have a terrible year and Jackson Smith-Njigba not to do well. I think eventually he's going to hit his stride. And some of these players people might be panicking on. So it's a good chance to go in there and get it. And I got to say, our analyst, Nick Huso, was right. Sam Laporta is a great person to have on your Dynasty or RSO team. And we got a question here from Nick. Nick is one of our co-hosts on our stream. And I don't know how to make him a co-host, so he's just asking questions. But I haven't got to wide receivers yet, but I'm going to say Puka Nacua is a great wide receiver for the next 4 weeks until Kupp gets back. But we saw when Cooper Kupp was average Cooper Kupp, he wasn't spectacular Cooper Kupp. We saw him do well with Robert Woods, and Robert Woods had a very productive. He was a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 for a few years with Cooper Kupp. So I see Puka, if he really is the real deal, and this wasn't just a one-time showing with 15 targets, I see him filling in that Robert Woods role where he's doing well, and Cooper Kupp is also being Cooper Kupp. So, Puka, he had 15 targets. That is insane, guys. This first-year wide receiver comes in and his first game has 15 targets. I mean, that is crazy. But you got to get him if you can. Get him if you can on your team, any team, redraft, dynasty, contract leagues. If he's available, go out and get him. Because if nothing else, he's a good trade piece. He's a good trade chip, and he'll be a good trade chip for anyone's team. Some guys to drop. Honestly, I've been looking. Tank Dell, you should have traded him already because he's not highly heralded, and he just had a lot of hype around him. Tank Dell is someone I would consider getting off your rosters. You guys are smart enough to know your bottom feeders on your team, but remember, this is what I stress in fantasy. You have to be patient at the start of the year. Every year in week 1, someone comes out and gets a 20-point performance and never has that 20-point performance again. There are weeks where people do well and we never hear from them again. Every year it happens where they have a 1-week wonder. So there are 1-week wonders every week, but we have to figure out who's the consistent followers. That's why I say go out and get Gus Edwards. That's why I say Joshua Kelly is intriguing. That's why I say Sean Tucker is a guy to go get. These are the guys who are in it for the long haul, the guys who are going to be working. But yeah, Puka Nacua, I'll go out and get him in any league, especially for the next 4 weeks. And then we'll see when Kupp gets back how his role changes. But Robert Woods had success when he was in his prime. So I don't see why Puka Nacua can't do well. Other wide receivers to look at. If you're looking for trading, Romeo Doubs is a guy I like. I think he's going to compete with Watson. He's going to be more of the slot guy, but he's also going to get those touchdown passes like he did in this game. I don't think the touchdowns are going to slow down. Jordan Love looked tremendous. He did well. The Bears kind of underwhelmed, but still, I love Green Bay's offense and defense. I think Hunter hit it on the nose in our other podcast, which you can find on Apple Podcasts or Spotify if you want to look those up. Those are our old way of podcasting. But if you look at them, they're just tremendous people to have on your team. All right, I'm getting a text message. So I'm looking. It's from my co-host. Oh, he's just texted everybody that my YouTube, my live stream. So yeah, Puka Nacua, good person to get. Other wide receivers I saw, I didn't see a lot on the waiver wire I thought had sustainability, but you've gotta go and you've got to find for yourself what you think is right. But we're here to help you. And on RSO, it varies a lot. You could have a lot on your waiver wire, or you could have a little. And I think a lot is much more important. The little ones are the ones where you can get Puka Nacua and not much else. And that's why you really gotta capitalize on these first few weeks of people who have an opportunity, who could do well. I'm gonna look up some other guys I see on waiver wires. I'm looking up some free agents that I like. Guys, it's time we just admitted Brock Purdy is for real. Do not pretend like Brock Purdy is not good. Do not pretend like I was big on the Sam Howell train. I'm now on the Purdy train. Purdy is going to get you 16 to 20 points a game. That's what he did last year. He's a great player. Justice Hill, you might want to grab in deeper leagues because you don't know if Gus Edwards is going to get hurt, and he usually does. So Justice Hill is a guy I like as a backup plan. Hayden Hurst, years to wow us, and he's never wowed us. His 12 points is underwhelming. I don't think he's a long-term stay. Josh Reynolds, though. Josh Reynolds is a sneaky buy right now who could produce some points in the next few weeks until Jameson Williams comes back in week 6. He's going to be the second guy. So I would go out and I would get him. Josh Reynolds is a guy to get. We saw Tucker Kraft get no catches and no targets, and we saw Luke Musgrave get three catches for 50 yards. So Luke Musgrave is the guy to have. I hate to admit that because I really wanted Tucker Kraft to do well, but Luke Musgrave is outperforming him right now. So there are others out here to watch. Justin Watson is a guy I'm watching. Pretty much the whole Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver room I'm watching, wondering who's going to step up and who's going to be their guy. But, we try to do Superflex, so I'm going to talk about a few Superflex quarterbacks to target. I like the rookies. Okay, I'll admit it. I like CJ Stroud. I like Anthony Richardson. Those are my two targeted rookies before they blow up. And Richardson blew up week 1. Richardson completely blew up week 1. He had a rushing touchdown, which made his numbers good. Guys, he's going to have rushing touchdowns. That's just the way it is. He's going to be rushing. He's going to be going hard at it. And Nick, if you got any more questions, keep analyzing and talking. I wish I could have you on here. I'm sure we'll have you on here next week when we actually have this underway. But I just started doing this today, and I just started working on this, and I just recently got a computer. So if you have any questions, keep asking questions, and I'll just keep going. A tight end I like. Yes, they had an over offensive day, but Hunter Henry is a consistent tight end. He's going to be a low end tight end 1, probably. He usually is. The guy performs better than some of those other low end tight ends who are very inconsistent. But the last thing I wanted to focus on is don't panic on your stars. This is more redraft information, but if they had a bad week 1, guess what? There's 16 more weeks. You have to base it on 3 or 4 weeks before you do anything. Oh, Rodgers left the game with a lower leg injury. Well, looky here. I was not on the Rodgers hype train, but if Rodgers left the game, that's not good. We're looking. we're looking at Jets players. If you're looking at Jets players, I would go out and get Breece Hall because Breece Hall is never going to be more cheap than he is in these first few weeks. And I see him hitting his stride around week 10, 11. That's when his legs are really going to be under him again. And that'll be in time for the fantasy playoffs. So I think if you're a competing team, there's no better time to get Breece Hall because their Dalvin Cook thing is a 1-year contract. And I don't think Dalvin Cook is coming back, to be honest. Just don't see it. But yeah, if you have any questions, keep commenting. And but like I said, don't panic on your stars. This is going to be the end of my live stream. Lamar Jackson had a bad day. Joe Burrow had a bad day. Justin Fields had a pretty bad day. Guess what? I still want all of them at quarterback ahead of all of these people who did well the first week. I still want them more than Kirk Cousins. I still want them more than Brock Purdy. They're the stars. You need to hold on your stars. Don't panic. And the one thing I have learned through the years of fantasy football is be patient. Do not sit and panic over 1 week. Do not sit and panic over a couple weeks. If they're a star, they're going to be a star until they get older. If injury is not the issue and age is not the issue, there's no reason to panic. But as we know, running backs, when they get to about 28, 29, you want to get rid of them or replace them in some way. Wide receivers, when they get to be 30, 31, they tend to slow down. Tight ends can go until about 33, 34. Right around Kelsey's age is usually when they slow down completely. And quarterbacks, they're a different breed. They can go till 40, or sometimes they go till 35. I agree, Nick. Kyren Williams is another running back worth looking at for the LA Rams. He had a good week in week 1, and there's no one really taking the helm there. I bet on Zach Evans. He did not do well. I got him in a 3rd round of a rookie draft, thought he might have a chance to take the LA room, but it's looking like Kyren Williams is going to be a good stash. You can get him for cheap right now because he's not well known. Go out and offer a 3rd or a 2nd. Maybe I'd say a 3rd. A 3rd for Kyren Williams is more than fair and probably going to reap you dividends this year. So if a team did bad and they have Kyren Williams, or if he's on your waiver wire. But guys, I got to say I was wrong on Isaiah Likely. I was on the Isaiah Likely train. I thought he was a great backup to Mark Andrews, and he had the first catch of the game. I'm feeling good about it, but that's the only catch he had for 4 yards. So Isaiah Likely is – I'm not going to start him anymore. If you want to keep him on your bench, hold him. That's your priority, but he's a guy I might be looking to drop for some of these guys we've named. Nick, if you have any other names, go ahead and put them in the comments. But like I said, don't panic on your stars. Your stars are still your stars. Some of them are going to have a less than perfect year, but just because they have week 1 is not a time to panic. Week 1 is a time to stay steady. And maybe if you have a person who's not very good and then underwhelmed, another guy in redraft, if I'm going to drop him, I'm trying to get rid of Devin A-Chain. He was a healthy scratch from the Miami Dolphins, and I think they fear putting him out there because he is so small he can't block. So he's not going to be in on blocking plays because I watched in the preseason and I got a healthy dosage of what Nick was saying about how small he is because he tried to block. Who's that first rounder? Will Anderson Jr. from the Houston Texans. And Will Anderson went after him. And I don't know if you've seen this clip, but he went over him like a bug. He just pushed him out of the way, and A-Chain just fell completely flat on his back, and then he sacked the quarterback. And it was like, it wasn't even hard for Will Anderson Jr. to just knock him over and go to the quarterback. So he's a guy I'm selling. He was high on a lot of people's rookie boards. He was a first, high 2nd rounder. I would try to sell him for future 2024. I'd be willing to sell him for a 2024 second right now. That's a good investment for the future. A-Chain is someone I want to, because he had a shoulder injury, they say, but he was a healthy scratch. And if he's a healthy scratch in that running back room, that's not a good sign. So, yeah, that's mostly what I had to say. Quarterbacks, if you're in a one quarterback league, you got to be looking at Mac Jones. You got to be looking at Brock Purdy. CJ Stroud is a guy I'd look at in a one quarterback league. I assume Anthony Richardson is not on your waiver wire, but those guys are good waiver pickups. Tight ends, Hunter Henry is the only one I think has consistency of the tight ends that did well. The years of him being in Cincinnati and everywhere else were not good. So I'm not going to assume that he goes to Carolina and somehow is good, especially with Tommy Tremble coming into his third year. And I've always liked his potential. So, yeah, I would say Hunter Henry is available on some of my waiver wires in RSO. I would go out and get him if you need tight end help. The tight end position is just hard to hit on. 4 of the top 5 tight ends this week were injured. The only one that wasn't was Hawkinson, but or maybe he was. Andrews was out. Kelsey was out. Waller was questionable, and I think maybe Hawkinson was questionable too. And Kittle was Kittle was questionable, and Waller was questionable, and Hawkinson was healthy. So that was the 4 of the top 5, and those are the guys you want if you really want to get points in the tight end position rather than just streaming it. So that's a little concerning, guys. So you're going to want to go out and get a backup if you have any of those guys, any of those top 4 guys. Looking at players who are tight ends on waiver wires, there's not a lot, but there is some. So I would say go out and get yourself Hunter Henry. Maybe even ride it with I say don't go get a Hayden Hurst, but he might be your only option. If Hayden Hurst is your only option, I'm intrigued by Luke Musgrave if he's on your waiver wire. I think he did well. He didn't get a touchdown. He got 3 catches and 50 yards. He got some long receptions for a tight end. I think Luke Musgrave is a guy to go out and get. Guys, everybody was plotting that Greg Dulcich was going to do well, and then Troutman took some of his duties away from him. But as far as the tight end position, Luke Musgrave and Luke Musgrave, Hayden Hurst, or Hunter Henry are the guys I would add for a spot ad, just trying to get what you can. Let's see. I've gone through tight ends, gone through running backs, gone through quarterbacks, wide receivers. I just like Puka Nacua and Josh Reynolds because I think they have the opportunity, and they're going to be thrown to somebody other than Amon-Ra St. Brown. So you might as well go and try to find Josh Reynolds, or obviously I think Sam Laporta is on most RSO teams because he was a rookie pick. Looking like a great rookie pick in the 2nd or 3rd round, the way he produced this week in his first overall game. See if I can find any other wide receivers I like on the waiver wires of RSO. Hey, Allen Robinson did all right. Might have a resurgence of Allen Robinson. Something to look on. Yeah, I just don't see many wide receivers I actually want to go out and get on this waiver wire. So Yeah, I'm just Puka Nakua is the one wide receiver who, if you need wide receiver help or you don't, have him first on your list to grab him off the waiver wire. Um, in a one quarterback league, you might want to get Brock Purdy because I think Brock Purdy will be a top 12 starter this year. If you have like Dak Prescott, go out and get Brock Purdy to back him up. If you have Geno Smith, I think Brock Purdy outperforms Geno Smith this year. If or at least they'll be close. I think Geno and Brock Purdy are looking at about the same range of outcome right now, even though they didn't have the same week one. So yeah, but for trading, Nick, go ahead and tell me who you want to trade for right now, because I can't lie. In one of my RSO teams, I won the week completely. I beat everyone in the whole league, and my wide receivers are Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, and Calvin Ridley. So my worst wide receiver was Justin Jefferson, and he got 19 and a half points in half PPR. And that league, I did very well. And I'm keeping those wide receivers together for the rest of the year. There's no way I'm trading them because I think they're all top 5 wide receivers. Calvin Ridley is a top 5 wide receiver this year, guys. Just like when he left Atlanta, he was the top 7, and now he's got Trevor Lawrence. How did the analysts not see this coming? How did they not all predict him in the top 10? Like, we were saying it beforehand. Hunter was saying it, preaching it, that he's a top 10 wide receiver, and now he's going to be a top 5, guys. From what we saw in the week one, Christian Kirk was no problem. He wanted Ridley. So, yeah. Other things I was looking at is if you're making a trade right now, things to trade for is basically all those things I said don't panic on. Somebody in your league is going to panic. Somebody is going to say, Joe Burrow had 82 yards. I should trade him for Jared Goff and let's say Romeo Doubs because I got to get something for him. There are panickers in every fantasy league, and you have to find those panickers who are impatient and take their good players so you can ride into the playoffs with all those good players. There's less panickers in dynasty and contract leagues like RSO because they're more the seasoned players. But if you can find someone panicking on someone who you know is good, just go ahead and take them over. So it looks like Dawson Knox has 2 catches and Dalton Kincaid has 1 catch so far. Be watching Dalton Kincaid. Watch how he develops this year. Could be a starting tight end by the end of the year, I think. I think he could be starting for some teams, getting like 8 to 10 points. Buffalo ran the least 12 personnel of anyone last year, but their first round pick was a tight end. And I think they want to run 12 personnel. But we'll see. Yeah, I haven't looked up the stats for that game, but we're just going to continue to keep giving live streams and sending them out. So thanks for listening, guys. This is the RSO Fantasy Football Podcast, and we just talk about reality sports online, dynasty, redraft. We give us your information, and next time, Nick should be on here, Hunter should be on here, and we'll try to do a stream maybe at the end of the week and get them on here. So I'm going to learn more about YouTube, and I'm going to learn how to do this because I want to do this. I want to bring it to the people who listen, and I care about getting the information out there. So thanks for listening, and this is the RSO Fantasy Football Podcast.